suburbs.
Are there really?
Oh yeah.
Because we.
It's mostly geared towards areas where the public schools aren't doing as well, which happens to be in larger cities, Boston, maybe Springfield, Lawrence, but there are suburban schools where there's charter schools, of course. I'm not sure what he said something about the parents being on the board in the suburbs but not in the city. I'm not aware of that. I don't know what kind of board structure they have for the schools in the city. So I'm not going to comment on something that I'm not sure about, but I can tell you for sure that they do have charter schools in the suburbs because the way I've seen charter schools work, if there's a need for parents to send their kid to a school that's not the public school, then that's where charter schools wind up being. And I know for a fact that they're in the suburbs. Absolutely.
Can you name 2 places where charter schools exist outside of a city?
I want to say Beverly. I'm pretty sure because I got a friend who's a guidance counselor up there, and then there's one real close to the New Hampshire border, and she lives up in Haverhill. So.
And is it
those
because
are just 2 off the top of my head because I know people that happen to work for them. I haven't done any research on where they might be, so I just know for a fact because I have friends that work there, not because I've done, I know where every charter school in the state is located.
Okay, I got you.
So,
I got
but
you.
honestly, I'll tell your audience, go look it up, go see where the charter schools are.
Well, they're mostly in the cities.
They're mostly in the city, but there's suburbs. But you got to look at why they're in the cities. They're in the cities because the public schools aren't doing the job. That's probably why you send your kids there. I would imagine.
I sent my children to a charter school because Inari was at the Henry Grew, and I feel like they failed, and I wasn't up for a gamble to see if next year they were going to do better, so I paid for Pope John Paul. And Pope John Paul, there's more demons in a Catholic school than there were in public school. And Asaria got into Edward Brooke for pre-K, and that
Edward Brooke was a Republican.
He was also a black man.
He was. Good man. Very good man.
But he was a Republican in different times, though.
Sure.
He wasn't
a Republican.
Okay, a Martin Luther King Jr. Republican and a Republican. What's the boy's name who ran for president? Who I can't stand. Uncle Ruckus. What's Uncle Ruckus's name? He ran for president last election. Uncle Ruckus.
Black guy.
Yes.
With the glasses.
Yes.
Oh, Herman Cain.
Herman Cain. There's a difference between Herman Cain Republican and Martin Luther King Jr. Republican.
What's the difference?
Ideologies.
What ideology? Come on, you can't, because this is the thing. Like wait, I wanted to read you something, but you tell me the ideology differences between someone like Herman Cain and someone like
Martin Luther King
Martin Luther
Jr.
King or Ed Brooke or whomever. So,
who was Herman Cain fighting for? Okay, so I didn't do my due diligence on this to have this conversation with you, Jeff, a political analyst. So I'm gonna epically fail at this.
No. Give me an anecdote. Tell me anything because this is important.
It is important.
I'm on the TaylaAndre show because it's critical that every audience in the state know what Republicans are about and have a good impression of that, because there's a lot of stuff that you're going to hear out there about Republicans that is just flat out untrue or distorted, and that's why I'm here. So I want to know. Look, Ed Brooke. This is the thing. You can go back. Last time I was on, I said something that I thought was correct at the time, but I learned actually it wasn't. And that was, you were asking me why did it change over history about the idea of civil rights and where Republicans were and Democrats were on the civil rights thing. Because back in the 60s, Republicans pushed the civil rights legislation through Congress. All that. It was Republicans. It was Democrats that were against it. And you asked me, well, how did it change? over time. And I said, well, and I was partially correct, and I said in 1964 we nominated for president Barry Goldwater, who was the one vote in the Senate, one Republican vote in the Senate voted against civil rights legislation, right? So that's where it kind of flipped. It didn't magically flip overnight. I was wrong about that.
Mm-hmm.
It was because what had happened was during the New Deal back in the 30s, FDR wanted to get more black voters to vote for the Democrat Party. So there were a lot of programs, jobs programs, funding programs that he put forward directly into black communities. So that was, and so that was a carry through through Lyndon Johnson when he took over in 60.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, but last time I checked, the New Deal made redlining and blacks couldn't buy houses.
No, New Deal, I don't know about that. No, the red lines were something that was termed, I want to say, I don't know when it came about, but it was discovered that banks weren't loaning to places, where there was a lot of black residents, and it was labeled as racism, but they were also very, poor neighborhoods. They were just poor neighborhoods. So banks weren't loaning to people who were going to live in those neighborhoods. So it was kind of like this cycle of poverty that was creating itself. So there was legislation, I think it was called the Community Reinvestment Act, right? Jimmy Carter pushed it through, but Bill Clinton actually gave it more teeth. And that's, in my opinion, that's what led to the 2008 housing crisis. Because look, when you're on a piece of paper, they look at your income, how much money you owe, things like that. There's no place for skin color. Okay, so they just made a policy that said loan to more people, loan to more people, loan to more people. They made the banks loan, and that's what caused the big run up of housing from 2000. Well, I'd say late 90s until 2007, 2008, and then it all crashed. But it was designed to be a helpful thing, but it actually wound up hurting a lot of people because they lost the values in their home. But that...
And the banks were greedy.
The banks were greedy, but the banks wouldn't have been greedy if the government didn't tell them you must loan to people who probably shouldn't have taken loans, second, third loans, things like that. And so they were making money off of it, but they actually were lending to people who probably couldn't pay it back. Now, the red line thing was a real thing.
It's still a real thing today,
It's still a real
too.
thing. So, they say red line because if you looked at a map of the neighborhoods where there weren't loans, you could draw a red line around it, theoretically. Air quotes for people on Facebook. It was, they draw the red line around the map and saying, don't loan to anybody in that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it wasn't. There's an argument to be made. You can say, well, mostly black people live in that neighborhood, and that was a racist policy. There's some credence to that, but mostly I think it's just because I don't think banks give the only color they care about is green, and if there's a poor neighborhood, whether you're white, black, brown, doesn't matter. That's what they're looking at is who can make them money and who can pay back what they borrow.
So we have some callers on the line, 617-282-0062. You don't have to agree, and that's why we have phone lines. 617-282-0062. Verizon, call you live. Verizon, baby, you're live. Good Verizon, caller, you're live. My love, you're live. Nobody's live? Nobody wants?
Oh no. Did I drive away your audience?
No,
Are they
not
bored?
at all.
Are they
Not
bored?
at all.
I'm glad you're talking about money right now because that's a great segue for my comment. I was at the same meeting with Charles last week, and among the panelists at that town hall meeting were the president of the Black Education Alliance of Massachusetts and other education professionals. And there was some discussion about the money, a lot of mystery money that's behind the push for more charter schools. same investors that are investing in the private prisons are the same people who were trying to use their money to influence these education professionals to support the push for more charter schools. And so there's the old cliche, whoever figures the piper calls the tune. And so if the prediction of who's going to prison is based on third-grade reading scores, and the same folks who are profiting from the prisons are now investing in charter schools, I have a problem with that. And their answer to the question, well, why should we support their efforts? And they simply said, because we got a lot of money.
Hold on, that was really said in a meeting because we have a lot of money.
I don't know about that.
That was a real answer.
They wouldn't be very smart if they said that to the public.
That would be.
God.
Taco, that's what they said.
The professionals who got emails and attempts to get their support, this was the answer that was given to them when they questioned their solicitors of why should they support the effort, and the answer was because we got a lot of money.
That was the most asinine thing somebody could have given. That sounds like
Yeah, I wouldn't.
the dude running for Register of Deeds talking about something. I just want a steady paycheck. So that sounds a little ass backwards if you ask me. Taco, thank you, love and appreciate you. We're gonna take some of these other calls. I wanna acknowledge caller on line 1. I don't know if you're still on that line, but I'm gonna pull you up anyways. Good rising, caller, you live.
Good morning.
Good rising.
Good morning. I was listening as I'm on my way to work as I normally do every morning. But you know what? I was at that same meeting that Taquar was at, so he pretty much said somewhere where I was going to touch on vote no on question 2, and the money that's being funneled into the city, and then you're asking yourself why not fix up what's already there, and we're still going through this same scenario 20, 30 years later. It's a shame that Boston, one of the more cities noted for education, can't even educate their own young people today. It's terrible. And until we get an elected school committee, not an appointed school committee, it's going to continue to be the same thing. Does anybody agree?
So let me ask you a question real quick. Do you think that is the solution?
I think when someone has to work for something, they do a better job. When someone don't have to work for anything and be dictated to, then they're only going to do whatever that other person they expect them to do.
So can we say the same thing for the teachers that currently have contracts and their unions hold them down and they're tenured in and don't have to do a damn thing? And I hear students, I have conversations with these young people that talk about how much their professors and their teachers suck and don't come into class and do a damn thing. Like, can we not say the same thing for the teachers?
Well, and here's the whole thing. None of these, today there's a generation of people who don't want to take a stake in what they believe in. Work for what you get. There are very few that actually want to get up in the morning and are pleased to get up and go be a part of making a difference in someone else's life. And then there are those who just say, I'm here to get a paycheck. Just like you heard Bennett say he wanted to, just make sure that he had a salary. And that's the American way, unfortunately. But in life, as my grandfather always told me, if you want anything, you have to work for it. It's not going to be given to you. So far, learning that working for things in my life, I've been more enriched, family, friends, and everything by working, not just by expecting anything to come to me. Don't get me wrong. Was it easy? No, it's not. But I know one thing, if I continue to keep striving for excellence in myself, it instills upon my children, it instills upon my family and my friends that are around me. So there's no reason why anyone should not be able to want to,
Well, you're right, and you're right in some aspects, but at the same time, like, you have to actually want to have a desire, but after working 20 years in the school system, and then all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but gradually over time, you can do little less this year, and a little less the next year, and a little less the next year after that.
And you're protected from doing,
And nobody can fire you.
Right. Like, that's the thing, if you work at anywhere else in the world, and even if you've been there for 20 years and you decided to slack off in year 21, slack off a little more in year 22, by year 23 you're probably fired. Anywhere in the world, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, your audience has been growing for Reggie, you would tell me what, 3 years? 3 years coming up this month, right?
Yeah.
So imagine if, like, in year 4, Tayla just decides to, just phone it in and do nothing. And, like, everybody's gonna tune into something else. No, your callers are absolutely right. That's the thing. Here's the problem with it. You can say, I don't know about the funding or investment in private prisons versus charter schools. I'd have to look into that. That may be something that people who are against it are saying to, what's the word I'm looking for? Just something they're saying to get people to vote against it because they don't, private prisons has a bad ring to it or something like that. I don't know that. But I can tell you.
Can you fact check that? Can you bring that back to us?
I'll try, yeah. But if it's something like where, like, people who are supporting charter schools because they think it's the right thing to do, and they also happen to own stock in, like, a few different companies, then then that's a weak argument in my mind. That if somebody's going around saying that, because nobody's making money off of charter schools, like, that's not happening. It's not a profit business. It's I think people who want to create charter schools, or at least put money behind it, probably have a genuine desire to help educate kids. If people want to say, point a finger and say, oh, well, you really don't, no, I don't know. How am I going to argue with that? But I think people who want, I certainly don't have a stake in the matter. I just want to see kids get a better education. And I know it's very difficult to, like you said, fire bad teachers. And why is it very difficult? Well, because the unions protect them. And look who's against this question and why they're against it. Because it's not about funding. I'm telling you guys, go on BostonGlobe.com, check out the article that was in there this weekend about the funding, and you'll see that it doesn't deprive a nickel from the public schools, and I think it even gives more. So it's just
I think that's so hard for us to believe because we have City Councilor Tito Jackson running around the city talking about how it steals money from public schools and we have to make public schools great again. I personally don't think they are.
How long have we been saying that, though? I mean, seriously.
How long has MECO existed? How long have charter schools?
How long have we been saying this, though? I mean, honestly, like, I want to know from Tito Jackson. I'll come back in. Well, we only have a few more weeks till the election, but I'll come back in with Tito, who I've met before, and I'll ask him. I'll say, give me a dollar amount, because I think the Boston BPS budget is around $1 billion.
Y'all tweet Tito. Tito Jackson, tweet him, Facebook him.
So
let's bring this back.
What? Tell me the dollar amount that's gonna fix everything. Whether it's Tito, whether it's Sonia Chan-Diaz, whether it's Marty Walsh, whether it's whoever. Tell me the dollar amount that's gonna finally fix Boston Public Schools. Is it $1.5 billion? Is it $2 billion? I mean, because here's the thing. Whatever that number is, in 18 months, when the scores don't go up or nothing changes, in 2 years, and your kids lose another year to a subpar education, because they're going to say, well, they're going to come back with their hands out and looking at, this has been happening. This is just history repeating itself. This has been happening for decades. So, the decision is up to the voters, and I'm the only, I'm a Republican coming on to your show to talk about this stuff because I don't have any stake in the game. Tayla's kids are gonna be okay. She's gonna make sure she's the kind of parent where her kids are gonna be fine. It's the parents who are working a bunch of different jobs, maybe a single parent, don't have the time, or just don't know that they're supposed to call the school when
maybe
or for whatever
English is
reason,
their first language.
whatever. There could be like 50 different reasons where they're just trusting that they send their kid off to school today to get a good education. Well, there's a lot of trust involved in that, okay? And if it's not happening, let's ask ourselves why it's not happening, and you can go back, look at the newspapers of all the op-eds and say, 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago, 8 years ago, more money, and you know what? They get the more money. What happens after?
There's no accountability with the dollar.
Right. So, I mean, look, I'm happy to have the debate on this because I think it's a worthy debate to have. But as education becomes more democratized, as you get more free things on, free stuff on YouTube, Khan Academy, you have an internet connection, you can learn amazing things. Like the old college example where I went to college, a 4-year college at a building somewhere, that's going away. Like employers are looking for, they just want the people that can do what they want them to do. And whether you have a fancy looking diploma on your wall, everything's changing. Like it's getting shaken up and people are scared. Those people are mostly because they have money invested in teachers unions. Think about it. You can homeschool your kids now and probably do a better job.
Oh, absolutely.
So that is a threat. That's a disruption to the status quo. That's a disruption to the money. And I invite anybody in here. I'll have the debate with them. But
Anything about the money? So, really quick question, Jeff, because we're coming to the top of the hour. Do you think that if Boston public teachers had some of the freedoms in a non-binding contract, like charter school teachers, and they had to, behold upon the parents what the parents want, and not what the contract wants, not what the unions want, do you think we could alter BPS?
100%. But I won't say that'll never happen, but the odds of that are pretty slim. The odds of that are pretty slim. Look, I mean, the system's set up to protect the teachers no matter what. Remember
the union for the kids?
Yeah, good luck. Good luck. You're the union. You're the mom and dad. Mom and dad are the union for the kids. That's the way it works. Look, I mean, it's not. I wish I could give a rosier picture, but like, if you're trying to change the system versus just say screw the system, I'm going to a charter school. You're better bet. You don't have time. Nobody has time. You don't have years. Your kids are learning every day, every month, every year, and they're little, and these are critical years. So ask yourself that question. So one more plug: the Lincoln Review podcast, the Lincoln Review podcast, iTunes, SoundCloud, Lincoln Review, and yeah, tune in tomorrow night at 6 and 7:30 for political analysis, and I'm covering the vice presidential debate later on New England Cable News.
I'm so yay!
And yeah, I always love coming in here.
Are you sure? Because they beat on you pretty bad for being a white guy.
I can take it. Well, for being a white guy, that's messed up. Maybe for being a Republican, they can beat me.
What do you think it's going to take for African Americans, black, whatever you brown people to become Republican again? Do you think it's even worth the switch?
Of course. But I'm not, I think it would be rather condescending for me or any white person to tell a person of a different color what to do or how to do it. Just, I'm here, listen to me. You agree with me?
Or you don't?
Great, vote with me. If you don't, this is America, you have freedom. There's a thing, like, I'm not going to sit here and say, I will sit here and say you should vote this way for these reasons, and I'll give my case. And somebody else can come in here and say no, you shouldn't, and here's why. Now that's America right there. You figure it out. But me coming in and saying a person with a different skin tone than mine should vote for Republicans because of X, Y, and Z. Who am I to say that? No way. Just look at the issues, because I'm telling you, your government wants to tell you what to do. All right, and there's only one political party out there saying you should decide what you should do, not your government.
Are you voting for Trump?
No.
Are you voting for Hillary?
No.
Who are you voting for?
I might vote for Gary Johnson.
Really?
I might blanket and just vote on the questions and down ballot. I don't know. Donald Trump does not represent anything much of what I believe in. So.
And we are.
I've been saying that for months. I'm not new to that. So, first of all, I'm in Massachusetts, so my vote won't matter too much. But yeah, no, I'm not.
You just told all of our massholes that their vote won't matter too much because.
Oh no! I mean, in the presidential election, your vote matters on question 2, question 4 for marijuana legalization. I forget what questions 1 and 3 are.
One is the cage. Is 2 the cage of animals, caging of animals.
Okay, I don't know.
We're working on that. I'm working to get somebody in the
But
studio
vote,
to.
if anything else, vote yes on question 2. It gives you more freedom. It gives me more freedom. Gives us more freedom. There's a we. There's a we in the
Uh-oh, Reggie B, you hear that? He said the we, us. He said it.
Better finish it.
I don't know what that is, but we need more freedom. Vote yes on question 2.
617-282-0062. You don't have to agree. Good rising, caller, you're live.
Taylor,
Sir,
hey, how you doing?
super fantastic. Super fantastic. How are you?
I'm alright. I was just about to touch the issue on, it's not supposed to be voting Democrat or Republican. It's supposed to be voting on the issues and how you, morally and all that kind of good stuff. But people just, okay, you're Republican or you're Democrat. So I have issues all the time when I go up in debates about Republican and Democrat. And you will be surprised when you start to throw facts out there, they get angry. And I'm like, woo! And over this election, I've lost friends over that because, we have politicians in there for 30
You know this is,
30 years, 35 years, and
This is the
they've lost
station owner.
touch. And the reason why Trump is, and the upside is people want to change. They want to get out all these institutionalized people from out of there. So really, they really don't care because they don't listen to what the people say. They listen to what the lobbyists and who said was funding them say, and that's it. People are just fed up, regardless of their political views or whatever it is. But I think that's why Trump is on the way and Bernie was getting in there. But as you see the Democrat machine, they sway or they put in who they want to put in, regardless. That's just my say on it.
Well, thank you. Is this Mr. Richie Rich?
No.
Okay, we love and appreciate you. Hope you have an awesome day today.
All right, Devin.
Good rising, caller, you're live.
This is Queen of B, and I just want to say it's a no vote on question 2 because that's we if you live in the inner city. If you continue to drain from charter schools, you drain from regular schools. Regular schools take kids, once they get kicked out of charters, we service those kids. So it's a vote on no for question 2. And on the debate of the presidential election, I think it's real clear that Trump is not fit to be our president.
I agree with that.
And if you have any smart or any sense of people, and a person that has foreign experience, that will be Hillary Clinton. A vote for Gary Johnson is a wasted vote. Your vote is going nowhere. He is clearly not going to win.
And you know
Yeah,
what?
he's not going to win, but, again, like Hillary Clinton's going to win Massachusetts. Look, we're in a weird world where Hillary Clinton is, the lesser of two horrible choices. They're two crap sandwiches on different kinds of bread. That's just where we're at. You're going to get a Democrat in here to tell you how good Hillary Clinton is, and I'll give you 50 reasons why she's not. But, look, that's where we're at. I think it's Hillary Clinton will probably, be the next president because we nominated Donald Trump, and that's just the way it is now. If Donald Trump wins, we're gonna have a whole nother conversation. It's not gonna go very well because he doesn't know. Look, he can't. He's gonna. Here's the funny thing. For months, he's been talking about how he wants Bernie Sanders supporters to vote for him. The truth is, he wants a lot of policies that the Democrats are in favor of, and those aren't the best policies. But you might get a lot if Donald Trump gets elected. But the problem is, you'll get Donald Trump, and he just does not have the ability to just keep himself in check or do anything normal. He can't. He's so thin-skinned. It's terrible. It's terrible. So I would bet a lot of money with anybody that he's going to lose. So it's pretty much he's blown it in my opinion. But you never know. I could be wrong.
Really quickly, the caller's point about charter schools are located based on low-performing public schools, but it appears public schools in certain areas are allowed to fail, get funds cut, and then charter schools show up, and of course parents still pay taxes for public, and then pay more money for charter schools when your children only attend charter. They offer tax breaks to parents who attend charter schools and stop doubling down, and barely want to pay teachers too. That's the problem. Don't forget about Bush's No Child Left Behind. That policy was carefully coded and ended up leaving more children left behind through standardized testing that don't cater to demographics of the students, and that affects funding, the gentrification of public schools.
Guarantee. I'll bet money on this one. I'll bet anybody. Public school funding has not gone down. It's gone up or from year to year for 30 years.
Didn't they just cut millions of dollars? That's why the
money
kids
on
and
that.
the teachers just walked out of school.
I'll bet money on that. Now, I'll bet you, you know what I'll bet you? I'll bet you that they planned an increase, right? So, like, we have Boston Public Schools have $1 billion budget, right?
Yes.
So, say it's supposed to go up by a few million, I don't know, every year, right? Something like that. I would bet you money that if it was supposed to go up by 30 million and it only went up by 20 million, they're calling that a cut, and it's not a cut. Again, I'm telling you, look at year-to-year chart. Do your own research. Like, fact check me on this. Fact check Tayla. Everybody should do. You know, we've got Google. You've got government statistics. Do your due diligence. I guarantee you. You look at the state of Massachusetts education budget from year to year. It looks like a hockey stick going straight up. And probably everywhere. It's just year to year. I'm telling you right now. At what point give me the magic number? Anybody on the other side, you know, I'm a Republican. Anybody on the Democrat side, give me the magic number of what it's going to take to fix the schools, and maybe we'll work something out. But, you know, a year later, 2 years later, if people come asking for more money again or saying they're going to take more money, you got to remember what happened, you know, the year before. And this has happened. We've been having this conversation. It's been happening for decades. So,
And that's funny because somebody just said that this is the same old song. It's been happening for years. It's the same old song.
Same old song. Same old song. So, I mean, look, maybe people forget the song they heard 2 years ago, but that's just what it is. So.
So one more time, Jeff Semon, please give us the information. How can we find you? How can we listen to you? How can we support you?
Go on Tayla's Twitter. She just retweeted her tweet. That's my Twitter handle. Listen to the Lincoln Review podcast. Tune into New England Cable News.
What do you talk about?
We talk about politics and issues. We try to talk about issues because, you know, our podcast, we don't record on a regular basis. So I don't want them to become dated too quickly. So we'll talk about issues and stuff like that. But I actually got to go to work.
Okay. Go make that dollar so we can have you back again. Thank you so much, Jeff.
I love coming in here.
I love when you come in here because you educate us on, you know, you give us a different perspective. And so often we have people in here that agree with us, that tell us what we want to hear. And I like the fact that we have somebody that is on the other side.
I respect. Remember this. So I'm going to say. Can I say two things?
Yeah, absolutely.
I respect you enough, and I respect your audience enough to disagree with them. Be wary of people that just nod their head and agree with you. You know, anybody out there. And I just want to read this because this is a good one. This is from Ron Paul.
I like him.
And it's on racism. All right. This is a good reason why I'm a Republican. Racism is simply an ugly form of collectivism, a mindset that views humans strictly as members of groups rather than individuals. Racists believe that all individuals who share superficial physical characteristics are alike. As collectivists, racists think only in terms of groups. By encouraging Americans to adopt a group mentality, the advocates of so-called diversity actually perpetuate racism. Their obsession with racial group identity is inherently racist. The true antidote to racism is liberty. That's Ron Paul. So I'm going to leave you with that because I got to get to work.
Thank you, Jeff. Waking up with TaylaAndre, Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 7. So appreciate you. I want to give a huge shout out to Faith's Naturals. Huge shout out. Make sure you come and check me Thursday night, ZC Boston, and every Thursday, ZC Boston. And last but not least, shout out to one of my favorite couples therapy located on Dudley Street. They have some of the most amazing clothes. Make sure you head out to couples therapy on Dudley Street in Upham's Corner. And we will be back tomorrow. 617-282-0062. Okay. I'll email you.